Alright everybody, welcome back to Descent. So Descendum, it's me, Dumo. I'm back again. This time I said some coins and now we're having a microphone. Have studio quality lighting in my bedroom. I hope you guys are ready for this. Alright, I haven't made a video like this in over a year because I've been a lazy bum and uni's been had me by the neck. But it's cool. I've got a case of B58 fever, so today we're going to be discussing the m140i. You ready? 1, 2, 3, let's go. The BMW m140i has sealed its space as one of the best, and I kid you not, the best hot hatches to ever hit the roads. Not just the roads of South Africa, but the roads of the world in general. BMW has a long, detailed history of making somewhat affordable sports cars, but I believe they perfected this formula with the m140i. Our story starts in 2011 when BMW released the F20 and F21 1 Series generation. In its purest form, the BMW 1 Series is a luxurious, comfortable way of getting from point A to point B. But to be honest, it doesn't offer much besides being a good daily driver and a basic grocery getter. So its unassuming and bland nature makes it the perfect, and I mean the perfect base for BMW to make something much more impressive from it. In simple terms, a sports car is like a sandwich. The base 1 Series is the bread. What you put inside of it is what matters. And we all know a sandwich isn't defined by the bread you use, it's defined by what you put inside of it. BMW knew this, and they knew this very well. That's why they used the N55 engine. The N55 engine is an aluminium turbocharged petrol engine that replaced the N54 engine that was in the previous generation 135i with no M. With a displacement of 3 liters and a straight 6 layout, producing a mighty 320 horsepower and 450 newton meters of torque. This might not sound like much and might not sound impressive by today's standards, but you need to remember this came out at a time where your uncle had a BlackBerry and TVs had fat asses. So this is yeah, TVs had BBLs back then. And Trevor Noah still looked like this. BMW called this the m135i. It was a rear-wheel drive car paired with either an 8-speed ZF automatic or a 6-speed manual. It was characterized by having strong low-end torque, smooth power delivery, and being a great all-round package for daily driving and spirited runs on the weekend. And in 2012, when it arrived on South African shores, it started at 465,000, and with well-optioned examples reaching as high as 600,000, which was an incredible deal because President Zuma was it. On paper, BMW had done it. They had created the perfect hot hatch, but in reality, they were facing some pretty stiff competition. Over at VW, the Golf 6 was on its way out, and the Golf 7 was already on the horizon. Over at Audi, they had the RS3 8P, which was the king of the streets at the time with its 340 horsepower and its quattro all-wheel drive system. Ford had the Focus ST. Renault was pushing out the Clio Sport, and Opel had the Astra OPC. And Mercedes was already planning and preparing for the all-new A45 to hit the streets. The competition wasn't only coming from outside. Within the BMW stable, Mini had released the JCW Cooper. The N55 did well when modified. With base mods, it could get you into the 400 horsepower range, and with more expensive comprehensive builds, you could easily reach deep into the 600 horsepower range and compete with supercars. Unfortunately, a BMW's gotta do what a BMW's gotta do, and common issues consisted of charge pipe failure, water pump failure, and oil starvation. If you owned the m135i in 2014 and you woke up to a puddle underneath your car, don't worry brother, that's not oil, that's just sweat from all that horsepower. The rocker cover gasket and oil filter housing were common sources for these leaks. So for the next 4 years, BMW would dedicate its efforts to improving and refining the m135i platform, giving it a new look and a sleek, reworked interior. But this was just a ruse to cover up and buy time for what they were doing behind the scenes. In 2016, the hot hatch market had changed completely. The 8V RS3 was going around and giving half a Lamborghini engine to anyone who could swipe their card and sign a piece of paper. VW had the Golf 7 GTI and its more impressive bigger brother, the Golf 7R. Ford was making the RS again, and this time it came with 350 horsepower and a torque vectoring drift mode.
What? Hell nah, them boy got Batmobiles. Fuck them boy get Batmobile from.
The Honda Civic Type R had unmistakable looks and performance to back them up. Mercedes had perfected the A45 platform, and it was now a serious weapon for robot-to-robot play. Over in France, the second gen Megane RS was on its way out and the new one was coming soon. And over at Mini, they had a new turbocharged John Cooper Works. And over at Hyundai, they had the Veloster Turbo. And yes, I agree, the Veloster is a pathetic excuse of a sports car. But you need to pay attention to this car because it's going to be important later. BMW saw what the competition was doing and was ready to have an answer for them. The answer was the all-new, groundbreaking 2016 BMW m140i. The m140i was incredible. Its modern, sleek, aggressive styling made it look very serious even at first glance, and tucked behind the bonnet was the mighty B58 engine. A 3-liter inline-6 turbocharged engine producing 340 horsepower and 500 newton meters of torque in its stock form, paired with the 8-speed auto putting down all that power through the rears. The stock m140i was not playing around. It sprinted from 0 to 100 in 4.4 seconds. Compared to the N55, the B58 had a 20% increase in boost pressure, and due to its closed deck engine block design, it had an increase in compression ratio. A new larger twin-scroll turbo was used, and this turbo was more efficient and delivered more power with less turbo lag. A new intercooler was used with a water-to-air design, which was integrated into the intake to reduce the amount of air between the turbocharger and cylinders. The B58 features direct fuel injection and variable valve timing, and it redlines at 7,000 RPM. For durability and longevity, the rotating assembly has a forged steel crankshaft and forged connecting rods. All of this only came with the 8 kilogram weight increase over the N55. Overall, it was a much more robust engine design that allowed for its internals to handle much greater pressure and produce much greater power outputs. Paired with a conservative factory tune, this meant with a simple stage 1 tune, M140i's could jump from the measly 340 horsepower to 400 horsepower with ease. And paired with a set of downpipes, it meant most lightly modded M140i's were easily running in the 450 to 500 horsepower range. The M140i has a light but super responsive steering and offers immense mechanical grip. A stage 2 unopened full bolt-on M140i with an intake, downpipe, intercooler, exhaust and a good custom tune would make significant power gains and put the B58 in the range of 550 to 600 horsepower, making it a low 12-second car accelerating from 0 to 100 in 3.5 to 4.5 seconds. For context, the Lamborghini Huracan Evo rear-wheel drive does the same, and it's a full-fledged V10 powered supercar. For your more ambitious owners, maxing out the B58 meant forged internals, big single turbo, upgraded high pressure fuel pump and other supporting mods, putting you in the 700 to 900 horsepower field. This is officially supercar territory and you could take on anything else on the road. With the fastest examples of the M140i having over 1000 horsepower, it proves that the sky really is the limit with this engine and this platform overall. But all good things must come to an end. In 2019, the M140i was discontinued by BMW, and the last edition was the Shadow line. In 2019, the hot hatch market consisted of the facelifted RS3 V2, the all-new Civic Type R, the Golf 7.5R, the all-new A45, the Megane Trophy, and the pathetic Veloster that I had made fun of in the beginning of the video had now been transformed into the Hyundai i30N, which was a noble contender for the hot hatch market. It's one of my favorite hatches, especially the newer ones with the DCT, incredible. But it was clear then, and it still is to this day, that the king of hot hatches is the M140i. With highly spec Shadow ones costing about 600k in 2019, there's examples listed between 600 and 700k as of December 2025 with high mileage. I'll pop up some examples here. And I've even heard of clean, high spec, low mileage examples of the M140i trading hands behind closed doors for as high as 900,000 to R1,000,000 in 2025. This is a car that was discontinued 6 years ago, by the way. So yeah, it's clear evidence that the value for this vehicle still exists and there's a supply that is not being met with any demand from BMW because the current 135, of course, yeah, that car's pathetic. But yeah, that's a story for another day. So yeah, I'm bringing back these more discussion type videos. I'm gonna be writing nice little scripts talking about cars I like. So please go down into the comment section below and list your favorite cars that you would like me to discuss next. I'm obviously gonna talk about the RS3 and the Golf 7. That's not even a question. So yeah, please do the standard procedure: like, share, and subscribe. I'm out. Bye bye.